Welcome to the food court. I'm Mikey. This is Chef Martin Wagner. And today we have Jason from Diablos.
Woo, Diablos!
What's up, Jason?
How you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm well.
We like to start off the show with talking about what we did the past week. Did you do anything this week? Anything exciting? Eat anywhere special? Not here.
No, I didn't eat anywhere special. I've been basically stuck here almost 16 hours a day for the last week. So basically that's been a little tiresome, but you know, we're all used to that.
Nope, I spend 4 hours a day in my kitchen at work. And then I'm out.
That's classic Mikey.
That's because you work there and I own the restaurant.
The difference between a worker bee and a boss bee. Gotcha.
No, because we're doing, every weekend we do a sugar shack here. So basically brunch on Saturdays and Sundays, but the kitchen isn't designed to do that. So basically we have to kind of flip the entire kitchen to do that for 3 hours and then flip it back.
I've seen it. It looks huge.
Yeah, we have these plates called Dixie plates that you can come here and eat, and they have like pretty much all of our meats on it. So we created something similar for the Sugar Shack, basically, where we have a whole bunch of different meats that are maple inspired for that specific reason. It started off a little bit slow, and then now it's kind of almost at the point where I wish I hadn't done it.
Well, I see on IG a lot of there was a little like a small petite girl next to this giant plate of meat, and it just looked way bigger than I thought. That can't be real, but yeah,
No, it's real. It's real.
It's a lot of meat.
Well, it's for 2 or 4 people. It's not for one person, right? So,
Or one of us,
or
half of me.
for lunch.
It's the second breakfast for me.
Okay, let's try that and see how that works.
Did you do anything? What was up with your week?
Yes, work.
Everyone just worked this week. Didn't
Yes.
you know where?
That's it.
So Diablos is on St Laurent. It's what's the address here?
It's 3619.
3619 St Laurent, and you've been here for how long?
It's their 5th year at this location. Yeah, we had
This
this location. We had another one on St. Denis. So Diablo's has been around for 7 years, but that one burned down about 2 weeks, 1 week before this place opened. So it became like this was supposed to be our second location, but it ended up being a bittersweet opening, you know. So
you just kept this as the main one. You didn't want to rebuild the other one?
There was just like a whole bunch of logistical nightmares with that. The old one where we were at before, first of all, it took us, like, dealing with the insurance company was a nightmare. They sent in like arson investigators and all this other kind of stuff to make sure we didn't burn it down on purpose, and it went on for months. Then the building that we were in at the time had an extension built onto it on the first floor, but then they realized when they came to inspect it that it was put together with like duct tape and paper clips, and they had to tear that down, and now the whole thing just kind of fell to the water. It's just like a lost cause.
Well, blessing. You have this place now.
That's right.
This does well, I'm sure.
It does.
All right. Oh, well, what's the main cuisine here? Like you do.
Here
what's your
it's
specialties?
primarily southern barbecue, like smoky meats. We do like ribs and fried chicken and brisket and beef ribs, and smoke our own bacon and make our own like a whole
Just
variety of
fucking meat.
Well, pretty much anything that's alive. We also do like seafood and fish and like stuff like that.
I like that seafood and fish aren't alive. Like whatever.
I meant it's not only meat. And then we had another restaurant at some point called Taqueria Arturo, which was a taco burrito Mexican joint that was on Prince Arthur Street, which Prince Arthur Street's a tough street to kind of make anything work on because it turns into this like massive like wind tunnel when you walk down it. So essentially in the wintertime, it's like walking through the Arctic tundra, and people just avoid it at all costs. And they kept on saying like, oh yeah, 30,000 people walk by here every day. And I'm like, yeah, they're going from the metro to work, like with their head down on the floor.
Yeah.
They're not shopping. So, we had a steady clientele there, but it just wasn't enough. So when we decided to close it, I was like, yeah, we're going to kind of mix it up a little bit. So we kind of like recreated the menu here. We kept all the stuff we had before, and then we kind of went from like Diablos barbecue to Diablos Cantina, which was like a Tex-Mex kind of thing, which is what we're doing now.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is delicious.
Yeah, and I learned, didn't know much about Mexican food before, like I knew the basics just like any other chef would, but I worked with a couple of guys at the taco place over there, and I learned a lot more about Mexican spices, like, specifically peppers like ancho and pasilla, like,
Yeah.
et cetera,
All the
et
dry
cetera, et
peppers.
cetera, all the dry peppers. Yeah.
Okay. That's good.
So we started making like a whole bunch of different sauces with them. That's where we're at.
Do you have a flagship sauce here?
Well, the flagship sauce that we have here primarily is going to be our barbecue sauce that we make, because we make all the sauces that we make from scratch. So
Okay.
like we don't buy anything. We have the barbecue sauce is going to be the number one thing. But then when you get onto the Mexican side, it would be like the hot sauces. Like we make habanero hot sauce and jalapeno hot sauces.
Are they going to be bottled and sold, or just in
yeah,
restaurant?
we're getting there. We're getting there. Like, I mean, we did a couple of about a year ago. We did a couple of test things with it, and it worked well. Like, we made small batches, and we kind of like sold them at high end. What do they call it? Pizzeria places.
Oh yeah, you didn't sell them in, like, not just in store.
No, not just in store. Oh yeah, no, we sell them here all the time. Like here, well, like we don't actually have a bottle, so what we do is we fill up a mason jar, put a cap on it, and sell it to them. You know.
That's awesome. That's actually really cool. I like that.
Yes, like why Diablos? Why you like what? I like the name. Like
Diablos was the name of a friend of mine's car club out in Calgary. And me and my original friend that we opened up the first one in Saint Denis, we were kind of childhood friends. And we used to be part of another group when we were younger. So as I guess kind of like a backhanded compliment to our friend in Calgary, he had a car club called Diablos. So we said, we're going to call it Diablos.
So like, we'll remember you, but we're going to make it way more successful.
But there's more to it than that, is that we were trying to figure out how to get around, the kind of like French laws,
English.
like office de langue française, and the way we did that was by removing the apostrophe. So now it's that's why like a lot of French-speaking people, they won't say Diablos, they'll say Diablos, right? So because it's one word, it's not a plural, So it's just become that's the name of it.
Changes the whole thing.
Yeah, you remove the comma, and then all of a sudden it becomes a non-existent invented word.
Yeah, there's no French word for it. It's just a made-up word. That's awesome. You have any backlash from that, from any other the communities? People like, I'm not going to go eat at Diablos.
Oh, actually, I had one girl once tell me, I met her at a bar, and we were with a whole bunch of friends, and she goes like, yeah, like I walk by your place all the time, but I can't go in there. I'm like, why? She goes, because it's the devil's place. And she was like really Christian, and she was Mexican.
Christian and Mexican. Classic combination.
Like, I just imagine her, like, kind of praying in front of candles in front of a Virgin Mary and being
Yeah,
like,
but I mean,
forgive me for walking in front of this restaurant,
No, but it depends. Like me, I'm Christian too. And,
Super.
I'm here doing like something, like it's no big deal.
A lot of people get the idea that because it's called Diablos that everything's, like, really wicked spicy.
Right.
But it's just not the case.
So, you do a lot of your own rubs here. All your rubs, all your sauces
Everything,
are. Yeah. What are three main things that can't not be in a rub? That's not how I wanted to word that, but three main things that are in every rub that are staples.
Well, some rubs are just salt and pepper, right? So basically, like when we make brisket here, all we do is use salt and pepper. Like it's just salt and pepper, period.
Just salt and pepper for a long time.
Brisket. Well, the long time has nothing to do with the spice, right?
Okay.
So like basically that's just the seasoning on the meat.
Okay.
Then we have our rib rub, which has a plethora of things inside of it. It's got like salt, pepper, paprika. It's got mustard powder, garlic powder. It keeps on going. But every person, a lot of people will talk about barbecue and think about like, oh, what kind of barbecue do you have? Are you from like, do you have Texas barbecue or North Carolina? But it's just like, it's an art, not a science. So basically it's like whatever the person who's making it likes. You know what I mean?
It's not region-based.
Well, what I do here is not region-based. And region-based barbecue usually applies to sauces and not necessarily, or meats. For instance, you have like Texas brisket and Carolina pulled pork. That's what they're kind of known for in those areas.
Yeah.
So, so if you get into the three spices, salt, pepper, and the majority of what we would do, would be probably brown sugar.
Yeah, I like that.
And do you use like like ancho powder or something?
Not in the barbecue. We use ancho powder in the sauces that we make.
If he needs to come in, we can pause for a second.
Okay, pause.
Yeah. All right, let's go. Back. We're back. So we just finished the ancho barbecue. Questions? You're up.
The dried chilies you said for.
We use it for sauces
This
primarily. Yeah,
okay.
Sauces primarily, and trying to think of what else we would use. We use a little bit of ancho powder with the chorizo that we make because we make chorizo from
You have
scratch.
chorizo?
We have chorizo.
Wow.
Yeah, we make chorizo from scratch. We use a little bit of that. Primarily, then the other dried peppers that we're going to use, we're going to like experiment with sauces that we have to use. Like we have our roja. We make a salsa roja, which is like an ancho based thing. The chicken that we make is made with achiote, so that's more of a paste. It's not
Yeah.
Trying to think of what else we're going to be doing. Yeah, it's primarily sauces. That we're using.
That's good.
And how did you get the idea to do like a Tex-Mex barbecue Mexican instead of just What's your background that brought
Well,
you to
if you were
barbecue?
listening to me, I explained that about 5 minutes ago.
Yes.
No, I understand. I meant like, yeah, okay. What I meant to say was, how did you get your start in barbecue? Like that's your backbone, right?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
how
Well,
you.
actually,
That's how I meant to word it. It came out different in my
it's, well, how did I get my start in it? Well, basically, I was born here, but I spent a lot of time in New Orleans. So basically, and then I ended up going to, I was buying a car in this small little town called Taylor, Texas. And the guy that I bought the car from said, like, oh, you know, let's go and have a bite. And I ended up at this place called, I think it was called Virgil's. It was probably called Virgil's anyway. And the guy, it was a shack made out of like aluminum sheeting, and it had
like
been
an actual
there.
shack.
Yeah, it was a shack on the side of the railroad tracks. And the guy who had been there, his name was, I presume, Virgil. He had been there for like something like, he'd been working there. He was like 90 years old. He had been working there since he was like fucking 3 or something, right? And we went in there, and it was, and it's not like I hadn't eaten barbecue before, but it was just like really epically awesome. And then I came back here, and I had like, you know, real cravings for it. And then I went to a couple places. At the time, there wasn't anything really here. At the time, there was, I'm not going to mention it, but it was a restaurant that I went to that I really, really didn't like. And so I was like, fuck that, man. I can do this so much better than that.
The classic, I can do
And
it
I'd
better.
experimented a little bit with, like, now we use like commercial style, like especially inside the restaurants, we're using like commercial smokers and stuff like that. Or if we go out on a, you know, like a catering thing, if we're doing like a festival, we're going to bring our, you know, reverse flow smokers, which is like a trailer you hook on to the back of the truck and you bring it there. And those are like just burning log after log of wood. So then I decided to, but when we were experimenting with it, we were doing it, you know, with like a barbecue or a barrel or, you know, like whatever we could figure it out to kind of try to see if we can gauge the temperatures properly, and et cetera, et cetera. And then it just came out really well. So, and then I had an opportunity at the time. I was kind of like in between what I was doing. And I had a girlfriend who had a photo studio on the 3rd floor of this building on St. Denis. And the 2nd floor which was a restaurant previously, was closed. And the rent was like ridiculously cheap because it was on the 2nd floor. But you know, St. Denis has like those little kind of like little walk-ups and stuff like that. And it was small, maybe about half the size of this place. But it had a patio that was immensely massive. So the inside capacity was like 40 people, but the patio was like 120. So in the summertime, we had this, like, you've seen the kitchen here, like half that size.
Nope.
Like pumping shit out.
That's
just
crazy
like,
small.
Like jumping over each other and like all this other kind of stuff. And it just took off like almost immediately.
Well, no matter how small your kitchen is, as long as you have a good team behind you, you can make anything work.
Yeah. That's always that's always a challenge, actually, kind of getting a good team together.
Yeah.
It's not the size, it's like how you organize your kitchen.
It's how you organize your kitchen and how you work together.
So this seat's what?
This here inside is 62.
And your patio will be?
Another, I think it's 36.
Do you do reservations, or is it pretty
We don't
much
do
what?
reservations on the patio.
Nothing on the patio?
Not on the patio.
Only inside?
Only inside, yeah.
Okay.
Now, the reason for that being is that, and this has happened to us before, we used to take reservations on the patio. The inside was full. Started raining.
Yeah.
They have nowhere to sit. They already have their food. It creates this kind of like standing in the middle of the restaurant, you know, so, you know, and no matter how many parasols we have outside, it doesn't matter.
No.
So now it's like a first come, first serve thing, and if the inside fills up and you're stuck outside in the rain,
You're stuck outside
you're
in the
stuck
rain.
outside in the rain.
What would you say are the 3 main qualities of a great chef?
Well, I'd say sense of taste and sense of smell,
Okay.
and you know, probably the most in-depth one would be the understanding of spices and how they mix together.
Okay.
So that would be, I think that would probably be the number one thing, because regardless of what you're cooking, regardless of what kind of meat or fish or vegetable or, you know, tofu, seitan, whatever it is, if you can kind of like get something together that's enhances the flavor of what you're eating, because that's what it's all about, right? So it's basically enhancing the flavor of what you're eating to the point that you can either you're happy with what you have as an end result, or you can always improve on it. And there's only so much you can do with temperature and time. So afterwards, it's like about spices and sauces, but sauces also have spices in it, so it kind of breaks down to the core of the spice.
That was super in-depth, actually.
Well, thank you.
Any advice for any up-and-coming chefs that want to get into the industry or want to go to cooking school? What would you say to someone who's coming to you like a friend, like, hey, I think I'm going to go to cooking school to learn to be a chef?
I'd be, you're fucking crazy. Don't do it.
Yeah. Fucking
And I'm pretty sure everybody says that, right?
100%. Yeah.
No, if you like, I mean, yeah, a lot of people don't understand the difference of like, yeah, I cook great at home. You know what I mean? I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, but you don't cook for 150 people, you know, at the same time.
In 20 minutes.
And yeah, right, exactly. And you know, a lot of people are great. They cook very well, and I've met people, and I've had people in the kitchen that work who show off great skill. They've got great knife skills. They're like, I mean, they're organized and they're you know, they cook well, but their timing is just terrible.
Right.
So they can't have like, you know, 2 things in the oven, 3 pans going, something in the sally, something on the grill, and half of it doesn't burn, right? So it's like you get, you know, a diamond in the rough sometimes that could just like octopus it and just like, like
You get super comfortable with time at home. Time's not really a factor.
Well, it's not really a factor.
Yeah,
it really
yeah.
isn't. But here, yeah, you fuck something up, and then the table of 15 has to wait another 10 minutes before you do something else.
Classic 15, always trouble. And how do you feel about like in like now in Montreal, or I think around the world, like no cooks? It's,
Well, you know what?
Crazy.
That's really a function of salary, right? Like basically, a lot of people, especially in Montreal, you know, I would love to pay everybody that works here more than I do, but like we're kind of like restricted with the revenue that we generate, and also, you know, it works as 2 different things. You could have like a head chef or a kitchen manager who's gonna fight for, you know, his staff, who's saying like, okay, this guy deserves a raise, this guy deserves this, and so on and so on. And as an owner, because I wear both hats here, right? So
Right.
basically, as an owner, you're always trying to figure out a way. Okay, how can we increase revenue? So then you'll talk to your
less labor.
Well, it's no, not necessarily. It's not like less labor is not always a good thing.
Keep
because
your food costs probably.
food costs is well, yeah, food costs is just like a normal chef thing. Like you have to keep your food costs at a certain thing. But the question was like the lack of cooks,
Yeah.
right? So essentially. Restaurant owners need to figure out a way to either accept the fact that they're going to make less money by making their staff happier. Now, mind you, a happy staff creates a whole snowball effect of great stuff.
Super
okay?
productive.
Or you figure out a way how to get an extra couple of dollars out of your clients. You know, like for instance, like do you want this with that or that with that? Because a lot of, you know, you have great cooks, but you also have great wait staff, right? You'll have somebody who can, for some reason, can sell 24 bottles of San Pellegrino a night, and some guy who can't sells 1 a month. You know, there's got to be a reason for that.
Right.
And it's not because they're conning anybody into buying something; they're just making them aware that they might want that, and they're like, "Yeah, I do want that." You know, so like, if you can get your front of house really solid, and because you know, no matter what anybody says, your front of house is basically the same thing as a used car salesman. He's selling your product.
Right.
Okay, like if you get somebody who walks up to a table and says like, "Hi, what do you want?" Okay, bye. You know, they'll be like, "Oh, you should try this and this." You know, so on. The more you have that, then the more you can pay your staff, and then the more staff's going to want to do it, and so on. Because nobody wants to kind of go somewhere and work like their ass off in a 100-degree kitchen on an 80-degree day in the summer for $12 an hour.
Right. No,
You
no,
know
no.
what I mean?
Oh, it does get super hot. Like it gets to the point where you have like hand out popsicles to your staff
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like
no, I do that.
water all
I
the
do that.
time. Like it gets so hot.
Paletas.
Yes, we have a freezer full of paletas.
Yeah, we have
A lot of
Thank you
paletas.
so much, Jan.
Yeah, thanks. What do you feel about sous videing? Since you smoke so much
Sous vide cooking, or just
Yeah.
or you mean for preservation or cooking?
for cooking.
For cooking.
For cooking.
You know what? It doesn't really apply to barbecue all that much, to tell you the truth, because basically when we're smoking all of our meats, right?
Right.
And you know, like if you're cold smoking something that is cured, and then if you're hot smoking something that is cooked. So basically, the sous vide cooking process is like, you know, like you're not going to put something in a water bath to heat it up. You know
Right.
what I mean? You're doing it to cook at a very low temperature. Over
We're playing with sous vide right now at the restaurant with a bunch of stuff, so that's why I just
Yeah,
asked.
you can do it great with like fish like there was the restaurant that was next door. There was a great Japanese chef there called Yutaka, and he was sous videing white. Oh, sorry. He was experimenting with sous vide cooking wagyu, right?
Wagyu beef.
Yeah, and it was just
That's a lot of expensive trial and error.
yeah, he did it.
That's
He
an
did it. But
expensive
he
trial
did
and
it,
error.
yeah. No, but he did it, and by the time he like anyway, first of all, the meat's great in the first place, but
Right.
you know, it was like you cut it with a spoon. It was crazy.
What's the?
Butter.
Yeah.
It just.
But sometimes, like when you have like very good like products, but you don't have the knowledge to cook that product, like so you can put like all the ingredients wherever you want.
Right.
Like wagyu, I can make like oh shit, it's wagyu, so like super good part of the beef. I
Yeah.
can eat like no problem. But like I put in my fry pan or whatever, and after like when you say like before, like you turn on like everything is
Yeah,
burnt,
yeah,
like,
it goes to
fuck,
shit.
like, fuck,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
so,
yeah, yeah.
like, You need to have like some knowledge. Me, I don't know like nothing about Wagyu. Like, so if the guy tells me like, here is the Wagyu, just cook some
well, like listen, it's like anything else. Like I mean, if you're gonna try to cook something that
Yes.
you don't know how to cook, then either talk to somebody who does or do some research on it. You don't
Yeah.
like I mean, especially if you're dealing with Wagyu, it'd be
yeah.
like,
Yes.
yeah, let's just take like $4,000 worth of meat and
Ow.
we will do something.
let's panko this shit,
Taco.
deep fry
Oh
it.
my god! If somebody handed me fucking panko wagyu,
Like a perfect example is yesterday. I was like just fucking around, wondering, like trying to think of shit to do. I was cutting an avocado because during the Sugar Shack that came out of sick, we make Scotch eggs.
right? Oh, I saw those.
Yeah, and so I cut an avocado in half and I quartered it. And I looked at it and was like, oh, hey, well, maybe I can do something with it. So I took the whole thing out. I stuffed the avocado with brisket, put it back together again, and then I kind of like deep fried, like battered the whole thing in the fried chicken batter that we have and deep fried it. And I was like, oh, this is going to be great, blah, blah, blah. And cut into it. It was just like the blandest tasting shit I've ever had. And I'm like, seasoning everything. I'm seasoning the
Not giving up on this
the
avocado.
panko and all this shit. And it's just like, because when you deep fry avocado, it's like, it's super creamy, but it has like zero flavor.
Yeah.
It's just like,
It depends from the avocado is from. From Mexico, it's avocado from Mexico. Please sponsor us. It's super good.
sponsor the cartels in the avocado exportation.
This guy.
And also buy lots of limes.
Lots of limes and avocados.
Yes, guacamole. We want guacamole. You have guacamole here?
I do.
Chingon.
Can we try your guacamole after?
Well, it's not made yet.
No.
but yeah.
So
I just
sad.
really like to
We
try.
make guacamole to order. We don't make it in advance.
Oh, you make it to order?
Wow.
Jesus Christ! All
That's
right, well,
crazy, man.
Because I don't like the way guacamole tastes after a while. Like, I mean, we tried to make it in like kind of pseudo liter batches, like I've got the little square liters and we make like 3-4 of them.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something. And then obviously you had the problem with the oxidation of it. And then
Yeah,
I
it
figured
only
out-
lasts.
Then I figured out how to solve that problem. By the way, if you want to know how to solve that problem, I'll explain that to you later. It's a secret.
oh, we're getting the
Professional
juicy
secret.
And
Screw you, home
just-
cooks.
It's just that after, like the next day, it's just not the same.
Yeah, then
No.
It's gone.
That's too
You
long.
can prepare a couple
like an
couple
hour?
liters of it for
In advance.
service maybe.
Yeah.
But then and avocados are expensive, man. And so basically you're sitting there going like, shit. I hope I sell this stuff. Then you're like, oh, what can I do with this? We'll just stick the rest in like fucking burritos or something. Nobody will know the difference. But then you do. So then and then you're just like, I'm not happy with that.
Actually, in Mexico, we have a joke about if you are rich, you have avocados to give the tip to everybody. Like, don't worry, put some avocado. You have money, sir? I have my own avocados. It's like expensive shit.
Oh,
It's
okay.
the green gold.
Right, so if you're
Green
driving
gold.
around,
Green gold.
so if you're
Green
driving
gold.
around with a truck of avocados, you're like fucking pimping hardcore. Right?
Your cartel.
Actually,
Your cartel if you have
Cartel del
a
Diablo.
You show up in front of like a whole bunch of hookers. You're like, you want 4 fucking avocados?
Jesus Christ.
And I
I want to meet the hooker that'll fuck you for an avocado. Like, that is legit
How
savage as
about a
fuck.
churro stuffed avocado, or avocado stuffed inside a churro,
Why not?
or chocolate mixed with avocado stuffed inside of a churro?
I still want to see the avocado stuffed hooker. That's just a plug. Oh my god. That's gross. Back to your restaurant. If people are coming in from the Americas, like
Yeah.
they do, because they want barbecue, what's
Sure.
the 3 things they should order here? Like, what are your
What's your
If you're talking about
what's your signatures dishes?
if you're talking about the barbecue, it's going to be baby back ribs, brisket, and fried chicken.
What's your personal 3 favorites?
My personal 3 favorites is going to be the fried chicken, the barbacoa Mexican tacos that we make.
So
or
hungry right
burrito,
now.
right now, and the baja, the fish.
Oh, I love Baja
Yeah.
tacos.
Baja
The
tacos.
Baja tacos are great.
It's really, really good. We make this
Which kind of fish you use for do the Baja tacos?
anglafe. What is that in English?
Brendan, Google it. Brendan didn't want us on our phone.
Haddock.
Haddock.
I don't know what that
Is there anything else you have left?
is.
Is there anything you'd like to ask us? I don't know if there's anything. This is a new thing we're trying. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
Well, we were having this conversation before. If you could eat any meat. That,
Oh, yeah, if you could eat any meat.
No, don't ask me. I'm asking you.
Oh, well, everybody knows it would be armadillo, but I
yes.
have to come up with something else.
Armadillo.
Because the last time you said human.
I would try human. 100% I said
Yeah.
human. I did. I said, and then we got into
Like
the
raw
conversation. No, we got.
Mexican
tartar?
human.
It would have to be like a really well preserved Mexican chef.
like human.
Well
like
spiced,
Mexicans.
Like, lock the door, Brendan.
Shit.
Oh, we forgot to introduce Brendan. Brendan's here.
Hi,
Every
Brendan. How are you?
Don't worry.
Diablos. This is the Diablos.
That's why she won't
That's
come
the
in
Diablos.
here because she knows shit's gonna go
Bro,
down.
but
don't worry.
White people only here.
This is how I
White
do the kitchen
people
every day.
and
I have a lot of ancho powder, so don't worry. We can make it
ancho
taste good.
powder. The flavor.
All right, man. Well, thanks so much, Jason, for letting us take over your restaurant
Very welcome.
for a late time. And that's the food court. Well, I don't know. We've never figured out how to wrap this up yet. We were like,
At Diablos.
You just gotta go like.
that's it. That's the ending. That's the money shot.